Okay, guys, we are covering ecosystems last time, and I think we stopped here. So I just want to read this, and then we're going to go on to the next ecosystems too. So this just says the carbohydrates that are produced by photosynthesis process gives the plants energy to continue living. Herbivores are animals that eat mostly, not strictly plant life. So like termites, koalas, field mice, and deer are a few examples of herbivores. Deers feed on leaves and grass, consuming the green plant's life energy. To consume means to eat something or absorb its nutrients for survival. After eating the plants of their choice, deer will digest the plants and use whatever nutrients that plant had stored inside to create energy so they can continue to live. The herbivores of an ecosystem are called primary consumers. This is because they are the first organisms to eat something else in the ecosystem cycle. Some of the energy that the herbivores use is lost in the ecosystem when they create body heat. For example, when deer run and their bodies warm up, the excess heat within their bodies escape in the atmosphere. If that did not happen, the deer's bodies would get too hot and their organs would fail to work any longer. Just like when we sweat, when we run, work out, it's a way of our body cooling itself down. Okay. It says energy is transferred again in the ecosystem cycle when the secondary consumers begin to carry out their functions. So carnivores or meat eaters act as secondary consumers, like lions, tigers, and polar bears are carnivores. They eat the meat of herbivores after hunts. They would eat a deer. When tigers eat their prey's meat, they go on to digest and energy for their own survival. Like the herbivores, the previous section, the air-cycled carnivores also give off heat when their bodies warm up from exercise. Unfortunately, the carnivore secondary consumers, they too will eventually find themselves targets for their enemy by other members of the ecosystem, the territory consumers. Secondary consumers are carnivorous predators, meaning they will hunt down other animals and kill them for food. However, these animals are not the very top of the food chain, and they too can be hunted and utilize meat. Territory consumers are predators who lay at the top of the food chain. So it says human beings are the most obvious examples of a territory consumer. Unlike the secondary consumers, territory consumers are not normally preyed upon by other members of the ecosystem. Therefore, territory consumers have a much different role in the energy cycle. So it says like primary and secondary consumers, territory consumers give body heat. That energy is lost in the energy cycle. For the energy cycle to gain energy from the territory consumers, they must die. Even if they're not hunted, all living things die. When they do, they decompose. Bacteria and fungi attach themselves to the dead territory consumer, begin to break down the matter of the body, releasing nutrients to the soil. These nutrients are again used to give life to new plant life. This means the energy cycle is completed and can begin again. So these are just some questions that go along with that. Okay. So, and the answers are right here. So what I want to do now, you guys, is I want to go to today's lesson. So this would be ecosystems 2. Okay. So if you guys can kind of just see the food chain, it starts with the plants, and then you have the animals that eat the plants. I talked about like the deer, mice, things like that. And then there are, people above them, like snakes would eat the mice, lions, coyotes, wolves would eat the deer. And then at the top of the food chain would be us. And I guess you could say, bears really don't have bears at the top, and we usually don't eat bears. So, in the lions too, in the jungle, I would say would be the top of the food chain because, there aren't a lot of animals that would go after a lion. But for humans, would be the top of the food chain because we eat just about everything. Okay. So, as you can see, this is ecosystems 2, and it says, what role do species play? So it says every organism and ecosystem has its own niche or role in the ecosystem. A species niche is a relationship to the biotic and abiotic factors in the ecosystem. A niche includes where species live and how it cares for its offspring. Part of an animal's niche depends on what it eats and when it eats. A predator is an animal that eats other animals. The prey is the animal that's eaten. Some species are generalists. They fit into large niches. For example, raccoons are predators that eat almost anything. They dine on nuts, birds, and even garbage. Other species are specialists and occupy a very specific niche. For example, 5 different insect-eating birds called wood warblers live in the evergreen forest and hunt in the same trees. But each warbler works in a different part of the tree. They also make nests and raise their young at different times. Okay, let's go talk about food webs. Energy and nutrients transfer move from plants to animals. A food chain shows how energy moves from producers to consumers. A group of overlapping food chains forms a food web, and a food web shows how energy is transferred in an ecosystem. And this is basically kind of you can see down at the bottom, um, grass. That's at the very bottom, in trees. And you can see the deer would eat, leaves or branches from the trees. Crickets would eat the grass, mouse would eat the grass, the rabbit would eat the grass. And then you have above them, you have the mountain lion would eat the deer, the mountain lion would eat the rabbit, the snake would eat the mouse, a hawk would eat the snake, a frog would eat a cricket, a hawk would eat a frog. Okay, so you kind of see the pyramid. It starts at the bottom with the grasses and the trees. You have some animals that eat just they're the herbivores, that they just eat plants. Then you get up, you have the carnivores that basically eat some of the animals, and that would be, so kind of at the top of this food chain would probably be the mountain lion. Okay, because a mountain lion could eat the rabbit, it could eat a deer, it could eat a mouse. I mean, a mountain lion, if it really wanted, if it could catch a hawk, but hawks are usually in the air, so that would have to be, not to say it couldn't happen. A mountain lion certainly could be in a tree, and a hawk could be in a tree, and a mountain lion could get a hawk. But for the most part, you see the hawk would eat the frog, the mouse, the snake. That's just like the pyramid. And in this case, I'm going to say the mountain lion's like at the top, and the tree and the grass are at the bottom. Okay. And this is all like an ecosystem. This could be happening. I'll say like in maybe not the mountain lion. If we took maybe went up to like the Adirondacks, northern part of New York, you would see all these animals. Okay, so you would see the crickets, the mouse, the rabbits, the deer, the frog, hawk, snake, mountain lion, and that is a specific like ecosystem. Let's go down a little bit here. Okay, it says all food webs have the same parts: producers, herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and decomposers. These parts are organized in the same way. Producers, like plants and algae, at the bottom of the food web. That's why I talked about the grass and the trees. They use the sun's energies to make food. The energy passes to the herbivores or plant-eating animals. Herbivores like deer and rabbit are the primary consumers, the first animals in any food chain. Then you have animals that get their energy from eating herbivores, are called carnivores. Carnivores, including hawks, rattlesnakes, lions, are consumers. Omnivores get energy from eating plants and animals. Carnivores and omnivores are the top of the food chain. Decomposers are animals that eat dead plants and animals. They break down the dead things into nutrients in the soil and the very ecosystem. Nutrients move from plants to animals and decomposers and back to plants. You can see it's kind of an ongoing system. And like a lot of times you'll see like a dead animal, you'll see birds picking at it. And what they don't eat, that like whatever it is, like some roadkill or something, that deer or whatever eventually decomposes or goes back into the soil. Okay. It says the top carnivore plays an important role in most ecosystems. If this animal, such as a lion, is healthy, it shows the ecosystem is healthy. Top carnivores cannot survive without healthy plants and animals population below. In healthy ecosystems, each species should stay large enough to reproduce. It also stays small enough for the species to have enough food. So sometimes you can tell ecosystems are unhealthy. It happens here with the deer. A lot of times you see like deer that are real skinny, their ribs are sticking out. That just means a couple things. There's probably too many deer and there's not enough food. And it usually happens this time of year, when the snow starts falling. There's not a ton of plants that are, green plants. So the deer start to basically, they get unhealthy, they get diseased. Then even the animals above them that would normally eat the deer, if you're eating a deer that is sick, that's not good. Just like when we eat bad meat, we get sick. So In a healthy ecosystem, everything needs to be kind of in perfect balance. If something gets out of balance, it affects everything. Just like for us, for example, a lot of us eat beef, and we have to depend on cows being healthy, because if cows start to get sick, then we're a little bit different. We go to chicken, we can go to pork. Some of us are vegetarians, we don't eat meat at all. But same thing, if the plants are unhealthy, then that's hard for the vegans or vegetarians. So everything has kind of got to be in balance for an ecosystem to be healthy. Okay. This next thing talks about its biomagnification. Energy and nutrients pass up the food web from producers to herbivores to carnivores, along with energy and nutrients. Harmful substances called toxins can pass up the food chain too. Some stock toxins stay in the body of living things it takes them, and this organism is eaten by other animals. The toxins are passed up the food chain. The toxins collect in animals at the top of the food chain, and this process is called biomagnification. It says Rachel Carson was one of the first scientists to notice biomagnification. She saw this problem happening with a chemical called DDT, which was used to kill mosquitoes. Carson showed that DDT moved up the food chain, harming birds and other animals. Thanks to Carson's work, the chemical DDT is now banned. So some people were like, if you grew corn or maybe soybeans or something, they would spray those fields with this chemical, and then the chemical DDT got into like the corn and soybeans, and obviously, deer would eat the corn, cows would eat the corn, and the deer and cows would get sick, and then when we ate, basically the other animals that ate the deer would get sick, and then eventually, it was passed on to us, where we got sick too for eating corn, or we ate an animal that that basically a cow that ate some of that corn or something like that. Or some of us even eat deer, we eat venison, and if that deer was eating the DDT and some of the plants that it was eating, it just keeps going up and up the food chain. Okay. Okay, so these are questions, and we'll just go back. What is a species niche? And that was kind of in that first paragraph here. And then I'll turn you guys loose. So niche is right here. It says every organism in the ecosystem has its own niche. It's a role in the ecosystem. So basically, it's what is its role in the ecosystem? Because we all have roles in our ecosystem. Okay. And then you can just go back up to that and kind of answer the rest of these questions. Let me see, I think that's about it. Here are the answers right here. So if you get stuck, you can certainly go down and check these out. And I will save, we will talk about population growth next time, and we'll finish up ecosystems. And okay. All right, well, I will see you guys on Thursday. Okay, have a good day. Hello? Hello?